accounting become important to us. So that's the agenda. First, our motivation to do accounting. Then our pilot projects we started in the accounting area. Simple web SMS service there was made accounting on, and we're also focusing on monitoring usage statistics, and then a third project, more ideas about how to do micropayment with an AEI, and then the conclusions. So in Swiss higher education, the AEI has become the key to many web resources. You see that 75% of all the potential users, they have an AEI account and they can access various web resources on our AEI. As I said before, it's in operation for about 2 years now, and it has become mature, our AEI infrastructure, and therefore also the availability and reliability has to be assured, as for the network, for instance. So therefore we switch as a federation service provider. We have to know about the usage of the AEI just to ensure a good quality of service for this AEI infrastructure. About 200 service providers are available at universities and libraries, and they are serving mainly in the domain of e-learning content, but there's also other web resources like the web SMS service, for instance, and also digital content provided by libraries. These web resources in the green part are the resources that are already AEI enabled, and so we decided to focus on these, what concerns accounting. End of 2005, we did interviews with university representatives and asked them about their needs concerning accounting, and there were several topics coming out, among them also the need to do usage-based charging for printing, but this is something that is not really AEI enabled, not Shibboleth enabled, because printer is not a web resource usually. Some people also, when they heard the word accounting, they thought about selling content on the internet like it's done in e-shops. For instance, they wanted to sell e-learning objects as downloadable learning content, and that's also something we decided not to focus on, because the aspect of accounting is not that much interesting when selling something, when the price is clear before you sell it. So we didn't want to make payment electronic. We stayed in this green part you see there. And what we also did in our pilot study was to look at the available technical standards to handle accounting problems with Shibboleth. There were no standards available to solve that problem. So why we need accounting, to summarize, is that university representatives, they really said they saw a need in accounting in the future. So before going to the pilot projects, let me show you what the difference between the traditional accounting is and accounting with federated identities. So in the example above, that's how one used to access the internet in the old days. You dialed up to your ISP, then you had to authenticate, you were authorized to use the service, and the counting was done all in one point, the endpoint where your modem dialed. So it was quite easy to measure the usage of your service, because when your modem hung up, you just had to count the time you consumed, and then it was clear how much to charge you. But with federated identities, on the other hand, it's a bit different. Authentication and authorization, they are divided, they are split in two parts. They're taking place first. Before you want to access the service, you have to authenticate at the identity provider. And then when you access the service and use the service, you get authorized by attributes with shibboleth, and that is on the other side at the service provider. So to get a full picture, the full information you need for accounting, you have to collect this information from two sides, which are sometimes not in the same organization. So that makes it a bit harder to do accounting with federated identities. The first project we were looking at was a web SMS service. It's not very exciting though, but that's also the reason why we looked at it. It's just a standard service, and we wanted to focus on the accounting aspects of this service and look how this service can be integrated into our processes. So we could gain experience in accounting with a real-world example. It's a shibboleth-enabled service. Users have to authenticate with their AAI credentials. It's offered centrally by switch to all the users who want to use it, but currently it's in a pilot phase with 2 institutions using it. And from our point of view, it complements also the email to SMS gateway, which has been running for several years, but is mainly used to notice administrators about problems that their machines have. So it's a machine to human communication, whereas the web SMS service is intended to do human to human communication. So to illustrate that, the user on the left side at his home organization, he authenticates to the web SMS service, uses it, and then the usage is counted and stored on the service provider side. Of course, there's someone at the user's home organization, an administrator in the IT department, who wants to have some control about this service, about the usage of this service. So what they can do is to set limits for the service based on AAI attributes. They can say the staff members can send more SMS than student, and they can control the usage with charts. And because the service is not for free, there will someone get a billing statement where there's just a number on it and how much it costs, but the home organization may want to know some more details, how the service was used, who the users were, and there was also the request that we provide details that they can use cost allocation on their side, that the home organization can divide the costs up to their cost centers they have, and for that there are 2 options. One could send a special attribute that for every user that tells you which coast center he belongs to. Then we would do on our side the aggregation of the data and split it up, the usage data, split it up to all the coast centers. And the other option is that we collect the full details per user and send them back to the university, and the university does the cost allocation on itself. To us, well, what proved to be more feasible is to send the details to the home organization, because it's hard to have a good picture about the bookkeeping department, how they distribute the costs and things. So it's better to let that knowledge where it is in the bookkeeping department and just send the details back. They can do the work of cost allocation on their own. Before I mentioned some usage statistics who are accessible for administrator on the WebSMS service. So here's just an example, just a graphical representation of the usage. It's clear that some details get lost, but administrators also have the possibility to download tables and the full details. And so you can also see that users like this service as the usage is growing. So to conclude, accounting is a need, and there's a demand for complementary information to just a bill, and therefore we need to do the accounting, and this information can be used for allocation to cost centers. And what I mentioned before also was that not trying to add special attributes for cost allocation. That's not a good way. Instead, getting the full details and sending them back to the home organization proved to be more practical. Another project deals rather with the usage of the AI as an infrastructure itself. And so we, as the Federation service provider, are interested in how the AI is used and which service providers are of most interest, which identity providers have a lot of users, have a lot of active users. And also the knowledge about the usage can help to ensure better service, better quality of the AI as a service. What we want to do, because this is an ongoing project, is to collect log files from the IDPs and the service providers and aggregate them and analyze them. And this data can also be used for a retrospective view of the usage. So there's a schema about this, and on the left side you can see the identity providers. They have log files about the authentication, about which users authenticated. We collect them on the lower part, and complementary to that, we collect also the service provider log files. The administrators in the home organizations and at the service providers, they have also an AI protected interface to look up this data, and they can also gain an overview about the whole picture, and not just about their situation, not just about their home organization. And because you see there's log files exchanged, usage data exchanged, and when you're doing that, if you're exchanging more data, there's a growing need for standards, because if you exchange, so to say, incompatible data, you never get decent statistics. And there's also a third project I would like to mention. In fact, it's not our project. It's a project running at the University of Bern, but we're working closely together in that. And they had the use case that they wanted to do usage-based charging for printing. And we thought about how we could implement that with the AEI, and not only for one university, but for the whole federation. So we developed a rough model for that, and it can also serve as a model in general how to securely exchange accounting data. And there's more information about that on the link below. So to conclude, is that mature AIs, they really need thorough accounting, and there's also a growing need for standards for the exchange of accounting data. And today we have simple solutions for simple problems, but tomorrow we will need simple solutions for complex problems. Yeah, thank you.
Now we have plenty of time for questions. First one over there.
In traditional systems where you have accounting in terms of, let's say, radius accounting, you have an event-based system where you know when the session starts and when the session stops. So you know that you can do a usage-based accounting because you have concrete events. However, in this accounting paradigm, I don't see any events. How can I be sure that when the session starts? Because I have separate authentication and authorization. So
yeah, that's on one hand it's a traditional problem in the internet because it's stateless, and the other thing is you can see when a session starts, because if I go back to one of the first slides here, what was it?
I mean, in the radius, I mean, when someone uses, I mean, the ADSL, let's say, or in plain dial-up, I mean, when the session starts, then the resource sends an event to the accounting infrastructure that says, session started, and it gives back the resource, like, or the IP address, or the number of bytes, or something like that, which is associated with the resource. So here, I mean, we see that there's some accounting in terms of the resources, either in terms of printed pages or in terms of how many SMS. However, we are not aware of, in other systems which are, let's say, continuous, of when the service started.
So when I understand your question correctly, yeah, it's the statelessness is one problem. What you know with Shibboleth, and that's what we're focusing on in the first step, is just doing accounting for Shibboleth itself, and not for the resources, about the service consumed and the resources. Well, what we know now is when the session started, and because it's you have to sign on for a service, and we don't know yet when a session ended because there's no logout functionality in Shibboleth. But that's something to come. But yeah, I agree with you that we don't know how long a user was on the resource. But sometimes this is not necessary to know. Sometimes it's only necessary to know, well, what he did there, and that's also something the service provider could log and send back to the accounting system.
Okay.
Thank you.
Next question. Hello?
Yeah, in fact, have you checked to the work Liberty is now ongoing on accounting that is based on the more or less an implementation of a diameter-like facility on top of federation framework? Because it looks like it's answering exactly the same type of issue, and also answer to the question obviously that was asked before, because in SAML 2 we have the global logout, so we have the capability to know when people log out. But more generally, what is this effort is about is effectively normalizing a complete ticketing framework that you can use later on, either for accounting, which is one of the issues. The other one is obviously auditing and security tracking.
Any more questions? No? So, thank you, Patrick.
You're welcome.
Red Iris, and the topic is the integration of AAI and web services, and the case is the PAPI case in Spain, and the name of the project and the platform is Osiris. So, please.
Which is to show you on full screen. Full screen. Okay, that was what I was looking for. Full screen. Okay, hello. My name is Ajay Renani. I work as a middleware engineer at Federated. And the topic of my talk is about web services and AAIs. So the AAIs is connected very much to PAPI, which is an AAI software. And the Osiris platform is a web service-based infrastructure. So it's a good case for us to research a little bit on how to integrate our software with the web services paradigm. So we'll talk just a little bit about web services and a whole lot about what Osiris is and how PAPI deals with these issues. So I'll start with the objectives of our participation in the Osiris project. Then there'll be a couple of slides on introduction to some tools and technologies as Osiris, and what kind of technologies we're using inside, as OSGI, PAPI, or the Liberty Alliance IDWSF specifications. And then we'll go to the core of the presentation, which is the Osiris architecture and our security proposals, some use cases which are based on that architecture. An important point which we are working is a lot of collaboration internally and externally inside, at the Osiris project. And then the results we expect to have from the project and some acknowledgements I must make. Okay, so exactly my first objective is so that you don't sleep for the next 20 minutes. I expect that you have had enough coffee after lunch. And what relates to this presentation is we have to provide security features to the Osiris platform. What are the characteristics of this platform that make the fact of providing security a little bit more tricky? Is that we are in a heterogeneous environment. The consumers of services can go from, are in a very big range of devices. They can go from small sensors with limited communication capabilities to high-level servers, high-capacity servers. We have to provide the AAA, the authentication, authorization, and accounting. And for us, for the PAPI development group, embedded software, very small pieces of software, is a real new issue to us. And what we expect to get from all this is to have knowledge and more expertise on new technologies that are being industry-driven. I belong to Rediris, which is a Spanish national research and education network. So our clients, in a way, are the academic institutions. So in order to find some synergies with the industrial environment, we think this is a good place where we could do all these things. Also, to gain knowledge on what the Liberty Alliance does in their specifications for IDFF and WSF, as we understand, is a de facto standard on this kind of technologies. And why not improve a little bit the PAPI protocol, so our users in Spain and some in other countries can have access to new services. Okay, so what is OSIRIS exactly? OSIRIS stands for Open Source Infrastructure for Runtime Integration of Services. And OSIRIS is pronounced, well, you may think OSIRIS has something to do with Rediris. Nothing at all. The OSIRIS name was put by the project management board, and we were really happy with that name. And as a differentiation from Rediris, Rediris has to be pronounced Rediris and not ever Rediris. Although this project can be called OSIRIS or Osiris. Yes, I'm sorry. Okay, okay. If you want, from now on, we can call people from Ireland instead of Irish. Instead of Irish, we can call them Irish. That's a nice idea. So we have a paper for our next conference. No way.
Rediris is pronounced correctly, but it's spelled wrongly.
It's spelled wrongly? Okay, we can have a little chat afterwards.
Yeah, we should discuss that already.
We can. We need a whole new project for all this stuff. Okay, so the main goals for OSIRIS is to provide, in other words, open source. All the tools that are integrated in this platform have to be open source by definition. It's an infrastructure because it's a set of different components we have to work together. And it has to provide runtime integration of services. That is, deployment and access to services and registration and discovery of services has to be done in runtime. We don't want, when we deploy a new service in a platform, to have to restart every now and then the framework. And that's why we have selected OSGI as the basic framework of OSIRIS nodes. But I'm going to talk about that afterwards. So we have pretty much partners from all over Europe, from Norway, Spain, Czech Republic, the Netherlands, Turkey. And we, as I said, we are tackling features like runtime service deployment, registration and discovery, something that is